winning deals right now, so good for her. So I will introduce our speaker. Dan Kernion is the Redmond High School Technology Program Instructor. Dan has been the Redmond High School Manufacturing Engineering Technology Instructor for over 11 years. He has been programming and machining for over 20 years in the guitar and surfboard industry. He is very experienced in Mastercam, Solidworks, Rhinoceros, am I saying Rhinoceros? And machining. In 2023, he was named High Desert Regional Teacher of the Year. Every day in Oregon classrooms, teachers offer their innovation, energy, and content mastery in support of students across the state. The Oregon Teacher of the Year program recognizes and honors teachers' excellence, with the State Teacher of the Year serving as the face and voice of exemplary educators across Oregon. He works hard to get different machinery at Redmond High School to prepare kids for the workforce. He is the most qualified in getting kids Solidworks certifications, master certifications, and industry standard certification that gets kids ready for the workforce. And with that, Dan, will you please come and share some updates with us?
Always nervous getting in front of people. Been at Redmond High 11 years, 11 every minute of it. We've had some major, really good things happening just recently. Last year we were selected by NASA to manufacture parts for the space station. So it was a super fun project. I got to involve freshmen through seniors in that. They sent us basically a part drawing of this part that they needed machined, so all of my young students got the opportunity to try to draw it in 3D, and then my more advanced students programmed and machined 30 parts out. We just shipped them just a few weeks ago out to Houston there, and they're actually aluminum parts. They're going to be on the space station up in outer space, which is pretty amazing. All the kids that worked on it got certificates that they were independent contractors of NASA. They didn't get it. They will as soon as they go apply for a job. They don't understand how big of a deal that is, the fact that when you walk into a job and say, I used to work for NASA. and they did, and they successfully made projects for them. We were selected again this year to do it again. Not sure what we're going to be making this year. And then another big thing is the Department of Defense is wanting to build 3 submarines a year. And they are 150,000 workers short of achieving that. And most of that includes welding and machinist, which is both subjects that I teach. So a company called Blue Forge Alliance has started an initiative called Build Submarines. So they are involving schools to do this. So we're now going to be building manufacturing parts for submarines through this initiative, as well as underwater drones. So I get to involve the middle school. I'll probably get Elton Gregory students over. They send you these kits that build these UAV vehicles that they use for something, I don't know. Pretty neat opportunity. We've been competing in an organization called Skills USA. When I was a kid, it was called VITCA. We've been to nationals every year since 2017, competing in machining and welding and 3D printing. This year I took 7 students out to Atlanta just about a month ago and competed out there. Really fun. It's really difficult competition because we're going up against the East Coast. Here on the West Coast, I feel like we are really behind the ball. I have kids for 72 minutes a day. I know instructors that have kids for 4 hours a day in the same subject area. So to crack the top 10 is pretty amazing to do, which we've done in the past. We're also doing another competition called Project MFG, which is put on by the Department of Defense. There's 2 different ones, or actually 3 now. The advanced manufacturing, we've done the last 2 years. The goal is to get out of round 1. We go up against colleges, so it's extremely difficult. Last year's project was a 3-part aluminum mold. with a reverse engineered 3D printed part. We did really well. We almost made it. And then there's the National Welding League, which we were the 4th alternate on that. They send you these kits. Last year it was airplane themed, so we got a P-51 Mustang, F-16, and then a stealth bomber, and then they come with blueprints and WPSs. The kids have to follow the instructions, weld it in position, and then send them back. And the winning student receives $10,000 cash. So I have a kid this year that's going to make it. I'm pretty confident. He was the 4th alternate this year as a junior. A friend of ours in Grants Pass won it last year, so I know it's possible. This kid's amazing. He was working out at Buck Stop Bumpers, and now he's doing heavy equipment, and he's just a junior in high school. So I try to provide industry experiences in the classroom with these kids. Coming from industry, I know what's expected. Most of it is work ethic, is what kids are lacking, showing up to work on time, having a good attitude, and explaining to them that the skills come second. Once you get to a shop or wherever, you're going to learn all that stuff, and your skill level is going to escalate tenfold once you get into the workplace. But having that work ethic piece is probably the biggest thing right now for these kids. I will say last year was one of my biggest struggles in education with the lack of motivation. Just an example, in my advanced welding class, I'll have 30 kids in that class, and I'm fielding 30 different projects, from full suspension go-karts to headache racks to all kinds of stuff, heavy equipment, tractor parts. This year I had to force the kids to build a project. I had to give them a project to build, which is sad for me, because one, most of the time the kids aren't into it. I have them building rocket stoves. They're like, oh, okay, whatever. So trying to figure out that piece is my goal this year, how to motivate kids. Typically, if somebody starts building a full suspension go-kart or a guitar in my other class, other kids get inspired by that and want to learn. It's been tough since COVID to find that motivation in kids. Yes.
Do you ever have any guest speakers or folks come in to volunteer and interact? I assume probably. It sounds like you have a lot on your hands.
Yeah. Last year I just started going back to industry, doing industry tours. I hadn't done that since COVID.
Yeah.
Reacquainting myself. We have, I think, 52 industry partners locally. I took kids all the way up to Leatherman up in Portland. I have some friends that work up there. That really helped. Putting it in front of them, like, why are we learning this software? Why are we doing this? And then they get to see it in action, especially with like Leatherman. Like, everyone can, knows what a Leatherman is, and to see all the same equipment that we have at the high school, they have there at the shop. That really helped. I took them over to BaseX. They've hired almost 3 dozen of my former students are at BaseX.
Wow.
They're excellent partners of mine. They give me truckloads, literally truckloads of steel every year, as much as I can take. In fact, I share it with every other welding instructor in the state who's willing to drive out here to get it. So I told the school district we were going to BaseX. We ended up going to Nosler, Radiant Weapons, and we kind of left those off the list, but I knew that would get the kids excited. I told them no photos, especially when they were holding the ARs in their hands. But they had a blast, and the owner, especially of Radiant Weapons, Josh Underwood, he's a great guy. Took kids over to the machine, let them play around on his $1 million Makino machines. And, so that I need to get back to doing. I used to do the Made in Redmond tour every year when John Stark was around. I got invited every year. And occasionally I could bring students to that. And then, yeah, having guest speakers in BaseX came in. We do a career fair, and they come in and speak to the kids. But bringing the kids to industry is super powerful. I have a Type 20 license, so I can drive kids, 14 kids, and it's eye-opening for them to see, but make the connection there of what we're doing. A lot of times they think the software that we're teaching is just something that the school provides. I'm teaching SolidWorks and Mastercam, which is the world's leading CAM and CAD software. It's used by NASA, Boeing, Tesla, and I explain all that to them and the importance of it. I guarantee the kids 100% I'll get them a job by the time they graduate if they stay in my program, and I've always been able to place a kid in the workplace. So yeah, I try to have fun. Unfortunately, I have to raise all the money myself. Like nationals, we just went to Atlanta in June. It was about $15,000 to go. We make custom fire pits and all kinds of things. And my team, they have to do all these fundraisers. We run concessions. So we raise the money every year. They finally, this year, paid me a stipend for skills, which I probably lost in my taxes, but they're making an effort. Sharon's making an effort, so it's great.
How much money do you need outside of that competition being $15,000, like holistically for a school year? How much do you guys generally pencil for that?
We probably, I take my kids to Wyoming every year for the Western Welding Academy competition, Skills State Conference, Skills Nationals. We did 2 other welding competitions. We hosted one at Redmond High. It's probably $20,000 to $30,000 a year is what we raise on our own to make it happen. I try to make it fun. For myself, my high school woodshop teacher pretty much saved my life. If it wasn't for him, I'd probably be a bum on the beach in Hawaii just surfing and spearfishing every day. Which wouldn't be bad, but I have a family, I have 2 kids. So, raising a family and owning a home is it's nice. But, learning that trade, and he was really big on work ethic. It was back when you could still paddle kids, and he had a nice big fat wooden paddle that wasn't afraid to use. So right out of high school, I got into the guitar industry, building guitars down in San Diego. And I got all my training there on programming and machining. I went into the surf industry, machining surfboards out for a number of years. I'm one of the first surf shaping routers, and then moved up here to Central Oregon in 2005. Worked for Breedlove Guitars for a number of years, and as their head programmer and designer. And then the Redmond High School job just kind of fell in my lap. I love it. I have 4 bosses, but I really don't have any bosses. I feel like I have no responsibility other than to have fun with the kids and teach them really cool stuff. Yes, sir.
I'm on the board at COCC, and how are we working together, and what's your vision on how we should work together in the future?
That's a very interesting topic. I actually just dropped my articulation with COCC due to the quality of their program.
It needs to be better?
It needs to be a lot better. I was sending kids there that were teaching the teachers. Their teacher quit. Midterm, I ended up taking the position over at COCC, so I was working double jobs last year, year before last. And then they hired a really young kid who needs a lot of training. So I'm articulating right now with Benton Community College. They have an outstanding machining program. I am still articulated with COCC's welding program, but I think their instructor just quit, so I don't know what that's looking like. They need to pay their employees more. They want to pay $50,000 to $60,000 a year for a professor of manufacturing. You can't live in Central Oregon on those wages. I'm sorry. And I shouldn't be making twice that at a high school. You should be making way more than the high school instructors, in my opinion. I've had a meeting with the president of COCC. Her and Sharon Klein came over and met with me in my class. I explained all that to her. It's unfortunate. I would love to have a local community college to send kids to get to that next level, but it's not there right now. They have over $500,000 worth of machines that just sit, two of which have never been turned on. They have a $190,000 5-axis machine just sitting there. I'm not afraid to say it. A lot of times my principal will step on my foot or kick me under the table. I have nothing to lose and everything to gain by getting quality instructors where they need to be. It's tough in what I teach. I know that's nationwide. I was just in Minneapolis 2 weeks ago at the Haas Technical Educator Conference, and with a bunch of like-minded instructors like myself who most of the time I train all summer, so I can stay on top of the latest and greatest software innovation, and it's very hard to do. You know, in the technology world, you're outdated every 15 minutes. Our trade of manufacturing is huge right now, and the pay is unbelievable. Getting into the trades, every company that I know of is hiring right now. So I have no problem placing kids in really good paying jobs. Welders making almost $23 an hour to start right out of high school at BaseX. Machinists and programmers upwards of $35 an hour right out of high school, no degree. I tend to push my kids towards trade schools. Western Welding Academy. There isn't really a machining trade school yet, but you know, looking into the future, Sharan's been trying to do something. We were going to move my program over to the college at one point. I think we should move a college program over to the high school. We've got that big old piece of land over there. I have Haas, they're the largest machine tool company in the country. They're willing to give me a couple $1 million to do that, to build a facility. I haven't filled out the form or pulled the trigger on that yet because I need to know what's going on. We had the whole scare with the merge of the high schools, which would have worked out for the CTE folks because we were supposed to get these brand new buildings, but that never went through. So, but yeah, I'm right now I'm focused on what I'm doing. I've got a lot of huge things coming up with the Department of Defense, NASA, the competitions that we attend, and just putting kids in high-paying jobs.
How many local manufacturers are you working with, and are they requesting new skills for you to provide?
So I'm not sure. I know there's around 52, but I have industry partners down in San Diego, up in Washington, here locally in Redmond, probably 20. I have an advisory committee meeting twice a year to discuss just that, what they're looking for. John Stark, he was with Reddy for a number of years, amazing guy. My first year in teaching, he connected me with a lot of people here in Redmond. I was connected with a lot of them anyways, being a machinist. And I designed my whole program is to expose kids not to just one thing, but I start them in engineering with CAD drawings, learning how to read blueprints, understanding design intent, and then they move into machining, manual machining, CNC programming, and I just built an amazing metrology lab, which is quality assurance. So we have CMM machines for measurement, GD&T, geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. So there's standards behind everything that is built. There are tolerances that have to be met, so these machines can measure down to 1/millionth of an inch. So I'm implementing that program. So I'm kind of exposing them to so many different careers within the manufacturing sector, and then of course welding, which is huge right now. So yeah, I welcome input into my class, but I try to cover it as much as I can with what I'm comfortable with. I don't like doing things I'm not comfortable with. So.
Over here.
Yes.
Yes. I just really love hearing about your program and how you're doing it. It's really great. I was interested in knowing how many young women are interested and involved in it.
Last year, my welding team, I had more women than boys. It was pretty outstanding. There's a picture of us. I took 8 over to McMinnville for a welding competition, and it was 5 girls and 3 boys. They're better welders. They listen better. They have better hand-eye coordination, better dexterity when they weld. A lot more patience, I find. But it's been growing. Typically in a class, I'll have 30 to 32 kids in a class, and 11 to 12-ish girls in there. So.
Does that include other parts of the program besides welding?
In my CAD class, it's 50-50. I have 50% boys and girls in there. Manufacturing, once we get into machining, it drops off a little bit there. But there's so much opportunity. There's so many grants out there for women in the trades. I'm actually thinking about it. I haven't decided if I'm going to do like a girls build club next year, just to get more females in there, because the females that I have right now, I didn't lose any last year to graduation, thankfully. They're amazing, and if I can just get them to pull more in and understand that they can weld better than the boys.
I took a class. I took one class.
Oh, nice.
Called community college.
Nice. Yes, sir.
Back when dinosaurs ruled the earth, I took a drafting class, and everything was done on a drafting table.
Yep.
Now, with the new computer programs and everything, do you think they lose something not having those basics?
Depends on how you teach it, because I myself, I took 4 years of drafting and architecture all on paper. So when we get into like Mastercam, which is the programming software, I have them draw in that software, which is a lot like drafting. And I do it every year. We get into it. They start complaining how hard it is. So I say, okay, go back. I have computers around my classroom, and then my desks out like these tables. So I have them go back to their tables. I pass out grid paper, graph paper, and I start drawing by hand. So I have them do 3-view, isometric drawings, things like that, and that lasts about a day, and then they're begging to get back to their computers. So it's like the age-old argument of manual machining versus computer-controlled machines, right? A lot of people think you have to learn on a manual before you touch a CNC machine. It's like saying you have to learn on a typewriter before you jump on a keyboard, in my opinion. I get kids right into CNC machining. This group, the Titans of CNC, this guy did a ton of work for NASA, Blue Horizon, SpaceX, and now he's dedicated everything to education. So he's got this free curriculum. We machine parts, aerospace parts in the classroom. Kids are drawing aerospace parts, machining aerospace parts. I have freshmen that are drawing aerospace parts. So we do some manual milling, but it's only as a time or a space filler. If I have too many kids in the shop, I'll throw one on manual lathe, on manual mill. I would say that the biggest lesson they get out of those is the respect of the tool. You've got an open tool that can hurt you really bad, as opposed to a CNC machine, which is enclosed. If your chunk of aluminum goes flying, it hits a wall. Worst case scenario, you have a little pea come out. Manual machines, if the chunk of aluminum goes flying, you'd be killed. Sorry. Yes, sir.
How do you see AI impacting your
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely crazy. The last 3 conferences I've been to were all on AI. Solidworks, the CAD software that I teach right now, super powerful parametric modeling software, is coming out with Smart Solidworks, is what it's called. You talk to it now. Solidworks, I want a mountain bike. You have a mountain bike on the screen. Solidworks, I want the frame to be carbon fiber. It's carbon fiber. SolidWorks, running through draft analysis. I need 6% less draft in the front end and 10% less in the back end. It happened. And it's manipulating the model based off of what the AI already knows. AI's been in SolidWorks over 10 years now. So you window over your part, your menu changes based on the things that you can do at that particular moment. So it's been there. It's getting our keynote speaker at the conference I was just at. He said he was using that chat.
GPT?
And he said, chat, I want to machine a block, 2-inch square block of aluminum. I want to put 2 1/4-inch, 1/4-20 threaded holes in this thing. And it spit the code out. He said, I'm using a Haas VF6 machine. The code was perfect. You could run the part. The cam guys like Mastercam and Autodesk were like, uh-oh. We visited a company called Proto Labs in Minneapolis. They have 350 Haas machines in there. Haas are the CNC machines. And then another 350. And both the Autodesk guys and Mastercam guys were there. And as we're doing the tour, they're like, hey, what software do you use? You know, they were hoping to hear theirs. And they said, we don't. Look in that window right there. And they have this big, huge computer server system. Part comes in, program spit out to the machine. AI is creating the program within seconds. So their turnaround time for injection molds was 15 days or less, which is unheard of. It's usually like 12 weeks. 15 days or less. So AI is crazy. We're launching something at the high school. It's not chat, it's like a school safe one. Kids are going to be able to use AI in the classroom. To be honest, I've kind of been against it forever, but now, like over the last year, I'm kind of for it. It's where it's at. It's scary, but at the same time, you know, I got a former student that just graduated OSU computer programming. He's got 3 monitors at home. One of them is chat, so he gives chat all the menial tasks. Meanwhile, he's over here doing this thing, and no, that doesn't work. Do this. You know, and he's having it work for him. So it's there.
Why were you against it?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, you know, coming from where I came from, we had wood shop in junior high. It was all hand tools, block planes and spoke shaves and draw knives and twist drills. It was work, right? And I appreciated learning that. And now that's kind of being taken away, like you were saying, right? The drafting on paper, does that take away from it?
Yeah.
It's arguable. I mean, maybe, but probably not. Like a friend of mine owns a huge company in San Diego called Fifth Axis. They make these dovetail vices. Sells $1 million worth of those every month. And he said anyone that's running manual machines isn't making money. He's right. It's just where it's at right now. You go up to Bremerton, up to the shipyards, they're still doing parts up there, but if they had CNC technology, they'd be making more parts. We wouldn't have this problem with building 3 subs right now. It's because so many people are so far behind in technology. The mom and pop shops around here that are still running manual machines. If only they could go to the bank and get a loan and get a CNC machine and just press the button and walk away from it instead of sitting there for hours, you know. I mean, yes, you know, it was like that in the surf industry when I started shaping surfboards on a CNC machine. Now we're taking the voodoo out of the surfboard. When a guy would hand shape a surfboard, it was a huge thing. Nobody wanted a computer-shaped board at first. But then they realized that there's a real famous shaper named Al Merrick. He hand-shaped the board, and we would scan the board. We would digitize the board. He was so honest about it. He was willing to admit that, you know, you got a board that's the same shape on both sides. But he knew he could never do one perfect. So he would tell us to scan the right side of the board, and we would mirror image the right side of the board. We'd take him up the first prototype, and scan the left side. We'd scan the left side, and it was different. So now you're getting these perfect boards off the machine. Now who wants the voodoo, right? Everybody wants the voodoo of the machine because it's perfect now.
I just wondered if Josh here graduates from your program and wants to, instead of going right into the work field, he wants to go to one of the colleges that specializes in welding and some of these trades. Are those regular colleges or are those specialty colleges? And if it's a specialty college, is it different kind of cost?
The welding trade schools are considerably cheaper and faster. Western Welding Academy in Wyoming is about 6 weeks. It's $35,000, I think, last time I checked. I just had a student finish the end of the year, end of our school year last year, and he is the head welder at a local shop here. He went in, they're like, okay, we want to hire you, let's see what you got.
You're 6 weeks for a 6-week course.
6-week course. They weld
$35,000.
Yeah. And then, like Lynn Benton, it's a traditional community college, but they have an outstanding manufacturing program there. I had a kid go through their NDT program, which is non-destructive testing. He's working for the Department of Defense, 2-year degree. Not sure what their credit cost is there, but he's making $153,000 a year. He's 24 to 25. So I'm not opposed to, you know, your universities. I have a son that's going to University of Montana. I just feel like the university system is somewhat broken right now. You know, I have 4 kids. I'm going to lunch tomorrow with 4 former students. 2 that graduated at OSU, 1 that graduated at Arizona State or University of Arizona. All are doing incredible. They're going to work for these huge companies, but they had to take 6 or 7 classes that were completely useless. That, you know, in industry we look at, does it add value? If it doesn't add value, it's taking value away. So they had to pay, you know, $700, $800 per credit for these 4 credit classes 6 different times. For what? So they could learn who the 13th president of the United States was? At the end of the day, who cares, right? That doesn't help you in your engineering career. And you can argue all day that you're a more well-rounded person, but you're not a better engineer or manufacturer at that point. So,
And you can ask
sorry, I don't want to offend
ChatGPT.
anybody, but that's my opinion on it. Thank you.
Virtually any of the kids that get into those programs are guaranteed a job at the end, is that correct?
If they have a good attitude
Yeah.
and good work ethic, then I will recommend any kid and guarantee them a job, 100%. And they'll get it.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Dan, what an interesting topic conversation. See me afterwards. I have some information for you. But before you go, we have a gift for your time. This is a Kiwanis pen up from a local artisan, so we'll give that to you.
Thank you.
And I think Barb's going to have us take a quick picture if that's okay with you.
You can make your kids draw with that pen.
Thank you. Yeah, be sure to see me before you go. Yeah. Okay, you guys. It was hard to find a positive quote about manufacturing, but I don't know why. Manufacturing is the most important route to prosperity.